Today we're talking about Scream, or Scream 5. It's a reboot slash sequel, or as they say in the movie, a requel, and it comes from two new directors who take over for the late great Wes Craven. 25 years after the first string of murders in Woodsboro, a new maniac donning the Ghostface persona creates more havoc for the surrounding community. I'm not just saying this, but the Scream franchise has constantly remained good over the course of 5 movies. Out of all of them, there is not a single bad title. Now, Scream 5 was a movie I was very worried about, but thankfully, this is yet again another well-directed and scary movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat from the beginning to end. I think it's really impressive that they've been able to keep this franchise good, and I can't really say that about many other franchises out there. There are only a select few franchises in Hollywood that have constantly remained good over the course of every single movie. I can only think of a few off the top of my head, like the Harry Potter franchise, the first 8 films, but besides that, there really aren't many. Scream has done something that so many franchises have been unable to do. And I'm happy to say that in Scream 5, they did not change up the formula that made the Scream movies so good. Despite Wes Craven passing away and unable to direct this movie, they still knew how to make this movie work, and it's the same exact formula of the first 4 Scream movies. Like every Scream movie that came before it, it has its share of suspenseful scenes, and if you're hoping for a bloodbath installment, you're in for a treat with Scream 5, because this movie is one of the most gory and violent in the franchise thus far. After Scream 3, a movie that toned down the violence and gore, Scream 4 and 5 have upped the ante. So I can't complain about that. There's as many kills in this movie, and there's as much violence as there is in Scream 2 and Scream 4, and it's way more violent than Scream 1 and Scream 3. And again, with another installment, this franchise kept me guessing in Scream 5. It's a good mystery that left me guessing. I tried my absolute best to try to figure out who Ghostface could be in this movie. I failed, unfortunately, but that's exactly what I wanted the movie to do. I wanted to be caught by surprise, and that's what this movie did, just like the first 4. In terms of the cast, I would say this is one of the best casts we've gotten in the Scream franchise. It's right on par with Scream 1 and 2. There's a variety of recognizable faces. You have actors and actresses from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, In the Heights, You, The Boys, and even 13 Reasons Why. This is a really good cast. It's one of my favorites of the Scream franchise thus far. The film also succeeds with the meta stuff. It's very self-aware, maybe sometimes a bit too self-aware, but I still found all of that stuff hilarious. We get even more from the Stab franchise. Every single time they refer to the Stab franchise, I am laughing hysterically. And unlike Scream 4, this one pays homage to the original Scream from 1996. The point of this movie was to mark the 25th anniversary of the first Scream film, and as somebody that's a pretty big fan of this franchise, I can't complain. They did their absolute best to pay all their respects to Wes Craven as well as that original film, which sparked so much love for the slasher films. All in all, I found this movie entertaining. It did exactly what it had to do in order to continue the Scream franchise the right way. Again, there is not a single bad movie in the Scream franchise, and Scream 5 continues that great product that they've been pushing out for the last 25 years. But going back to Scream's OG cast, David Arquette, Neve Campbell, and Courtney Cox, as much as I didn't mind the fact that we saw so many recognizable faces leading the first half of this movie, and I'm pretty sure that we'll see Scream 6 and 7 and maybe 8 eventually led by these cast members, it kind of got annoying how much the movie chose to focus on these people over the original cast, Courtney Cox, Neve Campbell, and David Arquette. They are the ones that I feel should have been featured just as much as the newbies. And following the trend of many other modern day horror movies, this one also gets jump scare heavy. About a quarter of the way through Scream 5, it was obvious that this was the only way they planned on scaring you. I'm somebody who hates jump scares because I find them cheap. They're not scary, and this was the movie's only way of doing so. Finally, let's talk about the movie's ending reveal. Who is the Ghostface? No spoilers, but the ending reveals typically are hit or miss. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I don't. In this movie, Personally, I thought it was the worst reveal out of all 5 movies. It was disappointing. I did not like the motivation. I didn't like who the person was. I just didn't buy their reasoning for why they became Ghostface and killed so many people in this movie. For me, it is the weakest reveal out of all 5 movies. I think they could have come up with something so much better. This was disappointing. I may be one of the few people to say this, but I want to see Scream 6, Scream 7, Scream 8. Let's get to 10. I always enjoy these movies. I can't imagine they'll ever make a bad installment. Maybe they'll get a little bit old after a while. I could see that, but they always find ways to keep them fresh, keep them entertaining. This movie, again, hits it right on the spot, despite having a disappointing finale. I really enjoyed this one, too. And the cast elevated it even more for me. I am giving Scream a 65%. Alright, for those of you who also saw Scream 5 this weekend, where would you rank it out of the franchise? Do you think it's one of the best or one of the worst? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you ask me, I think this might be the worst one, but that's saying a lot because it's still a good movie. We have 5 good Scream movies. There's not a single bad one. I hope we get that 6th movie eventually. I think I might rank all 5 Scream movies this week too in a video, just because I want to talk about the first 4 movies a little more in depth. And as always, guys, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.